Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my shop. Today is December 21st, and this is my weekly shop update, and that is my dog Pancake. So this week has been it's gone by quite quickly, that's for sure. So I did I spent Monday and Tuesday working on that backstory video, and that's on top of the days I spent last week working on it as well. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be like the video I spent the most time on, like out of all the videos I've ever made. Unfortunately, I had to kind of put that on hold because it was taking too long, and I had to move on to other things. So I have I think like a year and a half worth of like story to tell still, and at the rate that I was going, it was like a full day per year. So I got another like probably 2 days left to finish that video, and I will try to get back into that starting in January and get that video out for you guys. I'm really excited to share it. It's been a huge undertaking to kind of figure out everything I did and like pull in all the pictures and videos and things from like anywhere I could possibly have, because obviously I wasn't trying to document anything back then, and having pictures and things like that to go along with the story definitely helps than just watching me sit there talk about something for however long it's going to be. But the other thing I worked on this week was finishing up my little batch of serving trays, which was a lot of fun. I've got some over here to show you. So the stack of boards used to be a little bit bigger, but Lindsay's already taken a few to give to some coworkers, and I'm still set up here from my staging from shooting the end of this video. And there are some really nice little boards in this batch of stuff. Like, I have some pretty nice firewood. This is a cool piece of elm with some kind of weird growth thing going on the edge there. And this is pretty crazy. This is a little bit of birch that's got a ton of curl in it. Hopefully that shows up pretty well on the camera, but there's a lot of curl in that guy. And there's a few pieces of birch, like this one here that has the peppers and the tomatoes on it, has a little bit of curl as well, which is nice. But I got this thing. I thought this is like the coolest thing ever. So it's a little crotch section from a walnut tree, and the limb up here acts as a little handle, so you can put your whatever on there and just carry it around and set it down. It's kind of fun. These are fun too. It's a walnut crotch, and with the limb coming off the side there, it gives it a nice natural handle to carry things around. Let's see what else is in here. These are kind of the boring ones. They're just straight grain walnut and some birch. Pretty uneventful. Another kind of goofy one here with a little handle on the side. This is a book match of that one. And another kind of boring, goofy one. This was a really fun project. What I did with this is that since I've made this project before, I went through and I kept track of all the time spent on every single step, so you can come up with a final figure of how much time it takes to make a unit of one board, or one board out of the entire batch of boards. So that video is a little bit different than my typical videos because it's going to be mostly all time-lapse, and that should be out this weekend. I'm really looking forward to getting that one out. It's going to be pretty sweet. So that's what I've been up to this week. Let's take a look at some viewer projects. First this week is a Keepsake Box by Harry. It's made from Hawaiian mango and monkey pod, and Harry made this box for his sister and her fiance as a wedding gift that they could also use as the wedding card box by removing the tray. It also features a removable heart-shaped puzzle piece to be used as a wedding cake topper. Next this week is a TV stand cabinet by Cam. The body of the cabinet is made from 3/4 inch walnut plywood with an 1 3/4 thick face frame, and the doors are made from red oak. The red oak for the doors was bleached before finishing, and Cam has a video on his YouTube channel that shows how he did that if you want to check that out. Next this week is a Dovetailed Box by Lasse. Lasse is 16 years old and he's from Denmark. The box is made from mahogany, and this was his first time cutting any dovetails. Last this week is a segmented bowl by Bill. Bill says the guys from 21 Pilots live here in Columbus, so he made a bowl for them. To match the color scheme from their new album, he used black walnut and locust with a little bit of hard maple in their logo. And of course, each segment layer is made from 21 pieces. So this week's Let Me Tell You About Something is going to be about slab thickness. Very common question I get is, why do I cut my slabs to the thickness that I do? And that is like either a genuine question that people have, or some people seem extremely upset by the fact that they're so thick. Why do you do that? So let's head out to the Slab Stacks and answer that question. So there's a few factors that'll go into the thickness of the cut, the biggest one being value. And that's just not from like the view of cost per board foot for resale purposes, but also the value of what you can do with this piece of wood. The thing about woodworking you might have noticed is that it's a subtractive process. You can always cut the wood smaller, but it is very hard to put it back. So the thicker stuff like this can be used for a lot more different things than if it were sawn into boards. Now the other thing about sawing a board or a log this wide into wide boards, the thinner you go, the less material there is there, the less structure there is in the wood inherently, the harder it is to get the stuff to dry flat. So if this thing, like this log for instance, was cut to like a 1 inch thick board that was almost 3 feet wide, between the stickers you'd probably get some wave going on there. You need a lot more stickers to get it to actually dry flat, and it would just have a lot more, it'd be a lot more prone to potato chipping than if it had a lot more structure like this. Now that kind of brings me to the kind of final reason, or the final like thing that influences the actual thickness for a particular log, and that is for the bigger stuff, these things have the most, I guess, demand or the most use as tabletops or things that top things like countertops, bar tops, things like that. And the usual kind of finished thickness for those is going to be somewhere around 2 inches. So when I'm cutting this stuff, I'm thinking about how much material is going to be removed during the flattening and surfacing process, and what's that going to end up leaving you with. Because it's something this wide, or for a tabletop that is long, if you're going to be flattening that big of a thing, that board needs to be pretty darn flat to begin with. That's for one. That's why I put so much effort into making sure my stuff dries flat and stays flat, is on a stable foundation that is flat. You know, I care about flat a lot for that reason. There's less waste there. The airplane now. So as I'm thinking about how much thickness is going to be lost due to not only shrinkage from drying, but also from the flattening process once the board is dried, that's just kind of a factor I add on to the final thickness. So I try to aim for a final thickness of around 2 inches, maybe 1 3/4 to 2 inches if someone wants to make this into a tabletop. That'll leave you with enough thickness for a substantially thick tabletop, so it doesn't look super dainty and thin at that scale. So at 3 feet wide, I'll go about 10/4, and then as the widths start getting wider and maybe as the lengths start getting longer, then I'll start adding some more thickness on there to make sure that that piece of wood is going to finish out at least 2 inches or around 2 inches for the end user. The other really nice thing is that on this thicker stuff, like 10/4 for instance, is a really good thickness because it gives you a lot of flexibility down the road. This is all just delayed decision making, because at this point I have no idea what these are going to be, so having the most things that could be available is going to be the best thing to do, I guess. So 10/4 is really nice because this can be resawn into 2 4/4 boards really easily, especially like after flattening and all that stuff, and still end up with a usable 4/4 board, which is kind of nice. The other thing too is if you have something thicker, like if you start with a piece of 12/4 and you only buy one slab for instance, now you can pull leg stock out of it. You can pull 8/4 leg stock as well as the 4/4 stock for, like, I don't know what you're making, like a side table. You can pull the aprons and the legs from the same thickness, so you can do a lot of stuff because you have more thickness. You can resaw and get all your parts out of not just the width like you normally do, like let me lay out my parts on the width of the board. You can also lay out parts on the thickness of the board, which gives you even more flexibility. So hopefully that answers that question and people are less mad now. I doubt it, but we'll see. So just a heads up, you probably won't see a shop update from me next week. The way things sort of landed, I guess, with the days this year, there's not going to be a whole lot of working days next week, so probably not going to do a shop update. I have some other things to kind of work on, like getting this tool cabinet project rolling. But I do want to say a big Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from my family to yours. I hope you enjoy the holiday seasons and spend some time with your family and just, I don't know, do whatever you do for the holidays. I know I love it. It's a great time to kind of slow down and just spend time as a family. It's enjoying each other, and I really wish the best to you. I hope you had a great year, and I guess I will see you in this kind of form in the new year. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything here in my shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. I'll also be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.